Hello everybody, my name is Bravestone and I am going to do a breed review on the Star Stable Online horses. This is coming out after Halloween, so as you can tell it's kind of spooky around here. I'm just getting started on my channel and I kind of wanted to get into Star Stable Online and then the horses they're coming out with and then the changes that they're making to the server, because I have been playing Star Stable Online for a very long time now and seeing the updates that they're doing is really unique and cool to see, and I'm really excited what they're going to do with Star Stable, especially because the storyline is starting to thicken. And personally, I used to play the game for the gameplay for it. Not only is it because it's one of the few games out there that equestrians can enjoy and play as a rider with the ability to have multiple horses. I think that's really cool. But anyways, today I thought a really good thing to do is go over horses and the breeds and the different gaits. One thing about Star Stable is the colors are changeable, as well as the breeds that you can purchase, but each breed has a specific kind of like animation to it, and each breed, has specific colors to them, and I'm going to go review those and see how well they correlate to that breed in real life, as well as how smooth the horses' gaits are in the game, and just overall the realisticness of it, and again the qualities that they have given the breed itself, so like whether it's stats or strength or agility. Of course none of them have speed listed, but those different ones can play on that. I am only going over the horses I currently have, as I've been recently getting back into Star Stable because I was away for a long time, and now I've collected some that I've been wanting. As you can see, I have the Trekner from the online game. I have a Lusitano. I have the North Swedish. I have another Trekner. Another Lusitano from the game, my starter, which is coming out before they do the update on the starter horses, which hopefully I will post a video about on my opinions of that and see how well and if they kind of compare to any of the current breeds that they have on. I have a Mustang, I have the Pentabian, and then I also have a Friesian. And if you look at my stable here, I also have a Icelandic and a Shire, and then I have the 6 horses I purchased from previous horses you could buy that are kind of a lot older and aren't seen as well as desirable anymore, just because of the fact that their animations are so much kind of chunkier and they're not as streamlined as the newer ones. So we're going to review these. As you can tell, the Icelandic and the Shire was in my pasture area. I was doing that to save on just taking care of them, but we're also going to review them as well, and opinions on why those are the 2 I selected to put into the area. So we're going to go to the Vidal Arena, and I'm going to go over some of these horses' stats. Okay, so I have my Shire horse here. So I want to talk about, how I'm going to do this is I'm going to do it in order of release date, starting with the oldest and ending with the newest. It's going to be 2-part. I have 8 breeds that I'm going to review. I'm going to do my first 4, which are my 4 oldest ones based on release dates. And then the next 4 will be the newer ones. That does not mean that the order I bought them correlates with the release dates. In fact, a couple of the older ones are some of the ones that I purchased most recently because I need them for a movie series I'm planning, or just I'll tell you with one of my horses why I bought them when they're an older model. Now, on the Shire, as you can see, his happiness, or I guess her happiness, is not too hot because I just don't ride the Shire. I think it's a pretty gorgeous horse. I got the dappled gray version because at the time I didn't have any lighter versions of horses. I don't usually buy grays or white horses just because it's just not a personal preference of mine. However, I wanted to get one into the mix, and I saw the Shire and I was like, I don't have one, and I really like the dappled version of this horse. The standing motions I like quite a bit. I like the movement of the tail and just the overall aesthetic of it. I like this positioning of it. It is a cold-blooded horse. So the stockier style of a Shire makes sense, and I do appreciate that Stretch Table made this horse taller. Now, it's not until we get into the movements of the horse is where I start to have my critiques about it. I don't think it's as fluid as the newer horses, but that goes along the lines with it's not a newer horse. So that would explain why. I think the animations are pretty okay. I really like the fact that they've animated the mane and tail and the forelock of the horse. I really appreciate that. They've done it with the Shire. I think that the Shire should maybe have a little bit less hair. I don't think it should have it's just an long mane and tail. The trot of the horse is pretty average. I don't like it, but at the same time, I don't hate it. I think I can handle it. The canter the canter's pretty decent. I like the canter. I like the motions of the horse when it canters. It's not until it gets into kind of more an extended canter where I really don't like it. I don't like the motions of the horse. I think it just feels too clunky. And I like how it still has the animations for the mane. It's the dead run that I'm not particularly a fan of, and I just don't like this very much. So I out of a rating of 10, I'd probably give the Shire horse probably I think it's average. I'd say 5. Okay, so now I have the Icelandic horse here. Again, this is another horse that I don't ride hardly at all. I purchased this horse because the quest icon for the Icelandic race was on my queue, and I'm the type of person that I hate having things like that on there. So I purchased the horse just because I had extra star coins, and I was like, I'm just going to do it. I purchased this color because I really liked the depth of and richness of the coloring of this kind of chestnut flaxen. However, after riding this horse, I discovered that I did not like its mechanics at all. I think the animations are pretty good on it. As an older model, it's the next one in my list that came out. I just do not like the animations at all. The walk is pretty good. I like the walk. The trot is average. I don't usually use trot that often. It's not until you get to canter. I don't like the canter. I think the tail is too animated. I don't like the style of the forelock. I think it's too bunchy. I think it kind of reminds me like the fjords are kind of like that. And then you get to the run, and I really don't like it. I just don't like how they've animated just the overall extension of the horse. And then at a dead run, I have this thing about horses' ears. The ears go back. They don't go forward, they go back. And that really bugs me. I don't like it when horses' ears are like that. I still like the fact that they have the animations with the ears and they do bounce when they run. It's just the fact that the horse's ears are turned sideways. I mean, they're not backwards, they're turned sideways. They're just not forward. And usually when you try to photograph a horse or you find a horse cute, usually their ears are bent forward. So that's one of the things. And doing races with it and just trying to ride it, I just didn't like the mechanics of it. That's not saying I don't like the breed. That's not saying I don't like this horse. It's just saying that I personally don't use this horse for the game. I think Icelandic horses in real life are lovely, and I love them to death. The only thing about this horse is it does have the tolt, which I have to remember how to do specifically because I don't remember how to do the tolt at all. Nope. Nopey, nope. But that's my review. If I was to rate this horse out of 10, I would say just based on the mechanics of the running and using this horse, based on its stats and stuff, and it is smaller horses. I like the medium to large size. I'd probably rate this one about a 4. I would rather ride the Shire, but I do like it more than the old Gen 1 purchasable horses. Okay, so here is the Friesian horse. I own the one with neutral undertones. I think there's 3 of them. One has warm, and then the other is cool. And of course, there's the sport horses. So I'm going to incorporate the Friesian sport horses, including this one. I have the Friesian because I'm a strong believer in the fact that Friesians are not allowed to have any white on them. Previous the old models had white on them, and they just called them Friesians, and that was a really big problem for me. But a Friesian technically isn't supposed to have any white on them. But on the model itself, I owned an older one of this, and this newer one I actually really like. I don't use it running around just because the one gait that I don't like is the gallop one, and usually I gallop everywhere, so that's the run that I really want to look the nicest because I'm going to see it the most. The standstill animations I think are cute. I love it. And just overall the style that they've made the Friesians I really appreciate with the mane and tail. I think the tail could be less perky and more kind of flat tends that the Friesian usually has the tail not as perked as, say, like an Arabian would. Now onto the gaits. So the walk is pretty good. I like how smooth it is. It's pretty average. I like how the head is kind of posted up. I really like it. Again, you have more mane and tail actions. The trot of the Friesian and the Friesian sport horses are very high, and they're intended to be the dressage horse, which a lot of clubs use it, and I understand why. I actually like it. If I'm just going to go around and do stuff, I kind of don't want such an animated trot. I kind of wish that they would allow an option for Friesians to have a dressage trot and then just a normal trot. The canter, I think, is pretty good. The tail is really over-animated, in my opinion. I don't think it should be bouncing like that. Again, I would put that along the lines of the Icelandic does that. The mane and tail, or the forelock and the mane, I think have pretty good animations on this. The extended canter, or the Sso Breed, whatever you want to call it, I think this is probably my favorite gait on this. I think the animations on the tail are appropriate, and I think it's just overall. Now the run, like I said, it's just so choppy to me because it's so high stepping. I just really don't like to run around with it, and I find it kind of bouncy to look at. So usually I don't like that. Another thing on this horse is the rear cracks me up. Like, look at that. That's so distraught. I don't know. It cracks me up. Anyways, if I was to rate this horse out of 10, I'd probably give it about a 6.5. I think it's a really good horse. For my personal preference, it doesn't do what I want to do, and I wouldn't call it a daily horse. Okay, so my next review, and my last one for this episode, or this video, is going to be of the Mustang. This specific horse, my very good friend, when I was younger, I had a very good friend who I would go to her house, and she had multiple horses that we would go ride together. One of her horses was an Appaloosa named CD. So that horse passed away recently, and so this is my most recent purchase. So I purchased this Mustang in the Appaloosa coloring, and I named it Cloud Dust, in abbreviation for CD, is kind of a memorial to him. And so this is kind of like, I guess you would call it a heart horse. Besides that, I actually really like this. I really like this horse. But ironically enough, I probably don't like most of its gaits, but I really like the attention to detail to this horse, and just overall the build of it. I think it's very true to the Mustang, and then this coloring specifically I really enjoy, and the pink around the nose and just the spot shading. The model itself, I think standing wise it's got pretty good conformation to an actual Mustang. And I like its standing motions, and I like how it's animated. Now its walk, I think the back legs are a little bit too chunky in movement. I wouldn't say it's as smooth and elegant, but I wouldn't associate those words to Mustangs. The trot is actually one of my favorites. Is my favorite movement of this horse. I think it's very relaxed. I think it's calmed. I like the animation of both the front and the hind legs, and I just overall like the animation of the tail. The canter of this horse makes me cringe. The front legs kind of seem very springy, and I don't like it. I do appreciate the animation of the tail and how it's not bobbing everywhere. That's one of my pet peeves in this game, is how they over animate the tail. Now the slow gallop is by far my least favorite, just because of how springy, I guess you could say, that the front legs again. But I think overall, if you just ignore that, I like it overall. The full run, again, the front legs don't line up with the back in terms of the smoothness of movement, but I do appreciate how it runs. Stopping, it closes its eye, which is one of those things that I don't like, and when they stop or do the sliding stop, I wish they would keep their eyes open. The rear, I think, is really cute, and of course the Mustang bucks, which I think is a really cool addition. Again, I wish it had its eyes open during it. I actually really like this horse, and I might purchase more in this of the Mustang. To rate this horse out of 10, for my personal preferences, I'd probably rate it about the Friesian, so about 6.5, because I like the animations, but I don't use it as an everyday horse. Okay, so I am going to go over the different colors of the horses. I'm going to use Star Stable on database. This is a really cool website that I really suggest you go check out. It's cataloged all of the different things that Star Stable that you could buy, whether it be horses, clothing, hairstyles. I definitely reference this page plenty of times. I think it's a really cool way to support them and check them out if you're looking to figure out which horse you want to buy next, and especially in what color, and you don't know where it's located. So I'm going to be referencing this site. I do not own the site, and all the imagery does not belong to me. I'm just using it for pictures to show different colors and locations and stats of the horses that I'm reviewing in this video. So I'm going to go to Breed here, and then the first one I'm going to review is the Shire. The Shire came out October 7th of 2015, and the last updated color that came out was, January 27th of 16. So there's a good few months that they were coming out with colors. Again, I own the dappled gray. I think overall the Shires have a pretty good range of colors. Kind of staying true to that of the Shire. If I was to pick a least favorite color, I'd probably pick this one. I think the shading is kind of wonky on it. I know where they were going with it. I just don't make it. I don't think it's my favorite. I really like this dappled bay. I own quite a bit of bays. If it wasn't for the fact that I already own a bay, I probably would have picked that one, but I like dappled. So I think overall they're pretty good, and most of them are located on Paddock Island. So I like the Shire, but it's not my favorite. Now on to the next one, which is the Icelandic horse. This one came out December 9th of 2015, so a few months after the Shire, and the last color that came out was May 3rd of 17. So that had a much bigger range of span, and again, these are all sold at New Hillcrest, which is on the island. Now, the Icelandic horse, I don't know that much about, but from the color schemes I'm seeing, it looks like they can be basically anything, but I'm very doubtful of that. A Pinto Palomino horse is very rare in any color, especially where you would find it common in, say, like a quarter horse or a Mustang of some sort. But I don't know Icelandics that well to know whether or not it comes this common in a horse, but I don't think it does. I feel like a light gray would be normal. I think most of these color options are pretty normal. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of the Icelandic and just its style. If I was to pick a least favorite, I'd probably pick, I don't like the pinto patterns on this one specifically. But again, I don't believe this is a realistic color choice for the Icelandic horse. I could be very wrong. Like I said, I don't know that much about the Icelandic horses. I do appreciate that Star Stable has a bunch of different variety on the horse, and you can get very many different colors. However, I do think they are overpriced, and I think their stats should not be that high. But I think, you are getting a horse that has a special gait, and it is cold tolerant, so maybe it is worth the price. But personally, I regret buying mine, and preferably would have paid less. I think it would be better at a cheaper price. Now on to the Friesian, which came out on November 9th. Where is it? November 9th of 2016, and the last one that came out was September 6th or 17th. That's also including the sport horses, which we're going to look at after this. This side also includes the older ones, but specifically this is the one that I have, which has neutral undertones. So you can see it doesn't have a clear color. Unlike this one, has kind of more of a warm tone. Or is this one the one I own? This one's got the blue undertones, which I don't own. So you can see maybe it comes across as more of a black, but that's just my personal preference. I think the Friesians are pretty true. I do like the older models and how dark they were. They were much darker than these guys. These have more highlights and therefore come across brighter. So I kind of wish that they would have made one of them that was as dark as the old horses would have been, or the old models. But colors can change. So I think the Friesian's pretty cool. The normal one. Now the sport horses get to be kind of a long list. I think that I don't know sport horses that well. First of all, this color is very rare, I think, and is very rich in redness. Is it a true horse color? Not really. Is it pretty? Yes. Is it realistic? Not so much. I do appreciate this horse quite a bit, and this one, I think they look really nice. I think this one has some good qualities to it. I do appreciate the details that are in the coat with the speckles, and then the rusting at the mane and tail. There's a gray, and then there's what you would call, technically there's no such thing as a white horse. They're considered gray, so this is more of a lighter gray. I think this horse is actually very pretty. And again, I think they did a good job based on I think they look pretty nice. The price pretty fair. I think they're a larger horse and they have more options. Now on to the Mustang, which came out November 23rd of 2016, so the same month that the Friesians were updated. I think the Mustangs had more hype when they came out because technically we already had Friesians in game. They were just updated visually. Now the Mustangs are priced pretty high. Again, they do have the custom animation to them. Their stats are pretty average. I wouldn't say they're all high and mighty, but I do think they have a really wide range of colors, which I really appreciate. You've got a red rowan, you've got the Appaloosa patterning, you have a paint that I think looks very nice. You do have 3 on the smartphone app, which I think is kind of smart. This one is my least favorite. I don't know what happened to this poor horse, but they seem to forget shading, in my opinion. It's a slate gray. There's nothing on the coat that's been done very fancy. And this is my least favorite. I feel like Star Stable did not put as much into this horse as they should have. I think the difference between this gray horse and this one is very upsetting, in my opinion. I feel like these are very lackluster in detail, while this one is very fine. And then, of course, you get to the, some people call it brindle. And I think there's some debate. It does not seem to be in this. Oh, there's a second page. Ha! This is some people consider brindle. This horse has lots of details, and I think it's a very warm color. Again, I think they've got a really wide range of colors that everybody can appreciate. But again, I think it's still slightly overpriced. But overall, in a review of this game... Okay, so to wrap this episode up, again, I reviewed the Shire, Icelandic, Friesian, and the Mustang models in-game. And the next video, part 2 of this, I'm going to review the Pentabian, or the Pinto Arabians, including the Arabians as part of that model, just the color being a different. And then I'm also going to review the new Norse-Swedish horse, the Trekner and the Lusitano, in the next episode, which are the newer models, and I'm going to explain differences between those, as well as things that I really like, and some things on the newer models that I really don't like. But then again, that's going to be part 2. Who knows what's going to come out? Hopefully within the same week, or maybe they're going to be back to back, because I don't want a 30-minute long video. I thank you for coming to my channel, and I really appreciate you being here and watching my videos, and like and comment down below, especially saying which ones you like. Again, these are my opinions, and there's nothing I have against these horses, just the animations that they have. Again, those models are older, and therefore they're not as new as these new guys. But again, Star Stable has progressed quite a bit from their older models, and please look forward to second part, as well as the review that I'm going to have of the update on the starter horse, which hopefully will be very soon. But then again, this is Kat, and thank you so much for watching.